Hey, it's Kirk Harnack for the Telos Alliance, and I'm here with Gregory Dahl of Second Opinion Communications. Hi, Gregory.
Hi, Kurt. Thanks for having me on.
Good to see you. First of all, I got to ask you about your company name. That's always intrigued me. What is Second Opinion?
So, Second Opinion was really our 15th pick when we had to register with the state of Illinois and everything. And so with all the different choices that we had to make, we finally came up with this thinking, well, everyone gets their first opinion. They don't like it. They ended up calling us. And so Second Opinion kind of stuck.
So, so you get called a lot of times when a broadcaster maybe has already started a project or didn't like what he was told, and you come in and evaluate what they really want to do and help them get there the best way.
Yes, the best we can. Understanding that they've already started something, they've already purchased some equipment. We kind of have to adjust to that. We have to use some equipment we wouldn't really want to. There's times though we're lucky enough we start a project from the beginning and we can do it the way we want, and that makes it much easier. But real life scenarios, this is what happens, and we kind of jump into it and we help wherever we can.
So in just a minute, I'm going to ask you about stations doing remote broadcasting from people's homes and how they can access their equipment at the station. But I'm going to before I say let's get to that point. You already kind of include this kind of these ideas, these suggestions, these recommendations as part of your own best practices when you build a station. Tell me about what you advise stations to do anyway before coronavirus showed up.
Sure. So when we build a facility, I highly recommend putting a utility computer back in the TOC. The reason is for the local engineer, they have a computer they can go to. They don't have to go borrow someone's or jump on someone else's that's in the studio and such like that. So we have that in there. It also has another purpose is that I can come in remotely and help assist with things, because you know how well the Axia system, even the other parts of sorry, brain fart here. Omnia and 25/7 and everything else that we can get in remotely, and we can get on the network. If we can get on the network, we can configure and help troubleshoot problems, especially in the beginning when people don't really have a full grasp of how the system works. But once they get that grasp, they're off in the running. But that first 30, 60, 90 days, they need a little bit extra help. And so having the utility computer with remote access software, we can jump in there real quickly. iProbe is running. We can actually hear the audio back to us. I've done a lot of troubleshooting with automation running satellite and contact closures. As you know, we can use like a telnet to get into port 93. We can see the contact closures. I can listen to the product and hear it coming in as a satellite, going out as program one. It really is helpful in that, and we've been doing that for years.
I think this is a great idea. You call it a utility computer, and at my own radio stations, and of course, I'm totally in the Axia audio over IP world. I've always designated a computer for my station's streaming, and since
Mhm.
the Omnia, the Zipstream products run as a service in Windows, not as an open application, but they'll just run as a service. They kind of just run in the background. And so this utility computer is fully available without me having to worry about closing the wrong app to do exactly what you're talking about. I get remote access into that computer via strong password and a product like TeamViewer or DW Service, one of those things, and then I've got full access to everything on in the station in the Axia network with iProbe, just anything I need to get to. Now you're talking about putting soft surface on this computer. What does soft surface do for people in an Axia environment?
So with the soft surface, now we can take either control of a console, or we can have virtual faders on the studio engine and have our own mixing control outside of what's going on in the studios. So it gives us the ability to do either or. And in a lot of cases, they want to if they want to attempt to run their own remote, which has its own chances of having some failures in there because we're going across the internet, but they have the ability to go in and actually turn on a fader, pot it up. More likely it's getting used for the engineers in the middle of the night when somebody forgot to pot something up and they're using the console as their mixer.
Yeah.
Thing, which I don't really recommend a mixer for the main console because we have so many V mixes in the studio engine. But some people like to have the old school, and that's what they'd like to use. But they have the ability to actually go in there, turn the channel on, or slide the fader up electronically, and it works. They don't have to drive into the station, which is great.
I'm going to read between the lines here. I think what I heard you say is some people will want to run the soft surface program at home and remote control a console, but there are some difficulties in that. There's some ports to open. Of course, you can use a VPN, but there's some choices to make. And if you get cut off, it's a bit of a pain. Whereas if you just run soft surface at the radio station itself, and then you remote into that computer, you've got much better control. And you can also, I guess, can you take that soft surface and assign it to various different studios as needed?
As you know, you can, because you have your connections and you can save your connection. So I can identify multiple consoles from the fusions to the elements and take control of those however we need to. And I'm glad you recapped what I said, because I don't think I did say putting the soft surface on the utility computer. I was assuming that, but yes, I get ahead of myself sometimes, and yes, you have the soft surface on the utility computer, and then you get full access to everything in the station. But also, going back to the users at home, as you were talking about, is that I don't have to have multiple copies of soft surface at somebody's home to get through ports and the network and the router and the firewalls and all that kind of stuff. I have one point of contact for everybody to get in there. So when it's their shift, and they're going to do, if it's going to be a live remote or if it's going to run their show from home, they have one place to go to. They select their profile, just like the profiles we use when they walk in there now. Now they have a remote profile that sets up the faders the way they want, and they're off and running.
Okay. So a station may only need to buy one license of soft surface and have different people control it. Again, using standard available, there's a dozen of them, different remote control methods for remote controlling a computer. And these can be very secure. We don't have to worry so much about that. So what do you suggest for stations now who have either an Element or a Fusion console? What should they go ahead and install? And by the way, for stations that have either the Radius or the IQ, I want to cover that in just a minute. But for now, Fusion or Element console, some of my stations do. What should people do if they don't have a soft surface at this time? Should they buy it?
I recommend that they purchase that, yes, and put it on a computer that's connected to LiveWire with a second NIC. They don't have to have an IP driver on it, but that'd be helpful. But if they have iProbe, they can put it on this computer. They may have to purchase a second copy if they've already got established somewhere, or have that license released and removed from the other computer. That way they get the iPlay option so they can hear what's going on, either from a source, let's say just a microphone in the studio, if someone is there, or hear program, or even the receiver that's connected to the system. And this way, once the soft surface is on that they purchased, it's on that computer, they can have their remote access software, whatever they want to use and they're comfortable with, and they're off again running and on the air.
Now, for stations like some of mine that have the Radius console or the IQ console, or even the desk or the rack consoles, there, when you have the core, that's QOR, when you have the core mixing engine, you've already got an HTML interface. It's very basic. It doesn't have nice sliding faders, but you can turn things on and off. You can adjust levels with numbers. You can even adjust mic processing if you need to with those consoles. And again, that's through an HTML interface. I would do it the same way that you're doing the soft surface. Have a browser running on that utility computer to run that console, and then just remote into that. That way you don't have to directly try to access mixing engines in your station from outside. You just access that one computer, right?
Yes, and that would be great. And it does work, because a lot of times with clients, we do have the Radius or the IQ with the core 16 or 32, and we do control it that way in the way where we need to turn a fader on or change a profile source, something like that.
You know, I know people who own radio stations that actually run with soft surface, even before coronavirus came along. I know a guy in California, he can't find anybody to run the board for the high school football games, so he runs them from his house 500 miles away. And it works great. It works absolutely great.
That is awesome. That's the power of what we do with this system. It's very versatile, isn't it?
It sure is. Hey, Greg Dahl, thanks for spending this time with us. If people want to contact you, you're a separate contractor. Where would they go on the web or phone or whatever you want to give out for people to reach you?
Well, on the phone, my number is 815-222-3556. And we're also on the web at isupportradio.com.
What a great website, isupportradio.com. We'll make sure that is on the lower third here. Thanks a lot, Greg Dahl. I appreciate your opinions and your help, and you keep on recommending people be prepared for working outside the station when they have to. Good to see you.
Thank you, Kurt.